Hello friends, Ted from Immersion here, and as you can see, we have hit this 99.6k and we are climbing closer to 99.7, but that's not what this video is about. But hey, if you like what I do here, consider subscribing to the channel. I wanted to talk to you about a Kickstarter that I'm personally involved with, Masters Minions and Tactics, a 5th edition supplement by the folks over at Jetpack 7. You can see there is just over 24 hours left to go with 57,000 raised. So several stretch goals have been unlocked at this point. They've broken 1,000 backers, which is a crazy number. I wanted to do just a very quick talk through of what stretch goals and things have unlocked, but also to showcase a little bit about, sorry, phone was going off, about what I've been designing, at least some of the stuff, some concepts, and then I want to let you guys help me come up with this. And I'm thinking maybe we either use the comments here in the video and I do some follow-up videos, or perhaps we even do a live stream where we come out and design it live, because I know what I like to see and I like to kind of work on in 5th edition, but I always want to make sure I'm hitting something that at least, whether it's not something fully designed by the fans of this channel or Discord or what have you, that at least you have some insight into it to help me possibly shift and tweak and adjust the way things are. So let's go ahead and talk about this, and then we'll jump into the warlock subclass that I've been designing, which is actually based on one of the masters that I've been designing. Now, I'll tell you up front, the master itself at this point is mostly lore-based stuff that I'm working on. No stat block yet, but I'd love to maybe work on that with you. But the warlock patron that I've designed is actually that master, so consider that. Okay, I should tell you again, the digital pre-order, or the digital version of this, is set to launch in January, so you don't even have to wait that long to get access to it. But let's go ahead. You can see again, forward's going to be by Matt Colville. You have a bunch of folks, including myself, as you can see right here on the front cover of the book, helping to write it. And then there's a variety of different options. Print could be as early as March, and then there are options for limited print runs with different special edition covers and things of that nature. So let's go ahead and take a look. Again, we kind of saw this. The early birds have obviously passed. But let's scroll down and look at the stretch goals. So one additional master was at 15K. One additional master again was at 25, another at 35, another at 45, and at 50K we started to unlock quick stat cards for GMs. It says a digital file that is printable. At 55K it says GM quick stat cards, choose 5 high quality printed cards when a hardback book is back. So if you back at a hardcover level, you can actually get printed like quick stat cards for the GM. And again, if it was able to break the 60K mark, that'll get you another, choose 10. So you get another 5. So as I said, the way this book works is it's essentially a master. If you may have seen Masters and Minions was the previous kind of 1.0 version of this. But essentially these are high level game, possibly campaign, at least arc defining monsters, bosses that you can use to build an entire campaign around. They can have generals and things of that nature. They can also have minions that kind of work for them, but they all have some sort of cool, unique things. And if you were to look through, there's some really awesome ones in the past. So what have I designed for this and I'm in the process of making? Well, it's an entity, I'm thinking fiend, that is called the Reclaimed. And this entity, their whole sort of what their MO, what they do, is they are a creature, an entity that comes into vacated spaces, whether this be something like a dungeon, a dragon's lair, an old castle, fortress, something of that nature. And the concept is basically this has been vacated for one reason or another. Whether it be they just left and moved on, they were run out of town, they died of old age, or something like an adventuring party came in and cleared out that location and then has left. And the Reclaimed comes in and reclaims this space. They take it over, they bring in their sort of generals and minions, and they sort of scour the place clean. So I'm thinking there may be some oozes involved in this, possibly just maybe could just be gelatinous cubes or something more original that goes through and just clears all of the junk and scrubs everything down to make it new. And ultimately takes it over, and this is what they gain their power from, is basically staking claim to these various locations. And I'm just trying to pull up, so I have some stuff over here that I want to talk about. But in case you didn't figure it out, the basis for this creature is Spirit Halloween. So yes, the once, a couple months out of the year, right around Halloween time, if you're familiar, I'm sure if you're, I guess, specifically in the US, Spirit Halloween comes in and takes over old vacant stores that have gone out of business or what have you, and sets up shop and has their little thing for a couple months out of the year, and then they just basically pack everything up and disappear. So what I was thinking is this creature does that. It takes over stuff, and I haven't decided what it looks like. I think it have a variety of them. Some of them could literally be shops, right? A tavern maybe shuts down, and the Reclaimed comes in, takes it over, and sets it up as a shop. And basically, they gather power by either hiring people, essentially, to work them for them, or planting a minion there to kind of run the location, or setting up, again, the shop and dealing and trading within it. But it doesn't need to just set up shops to reclaim power, but that's just part of it. So I thought that this was a really cool concept because depending on how things go, like if they do set up a shop and the party's in one part of the continent and they clear out a cavern and then they come back to it for some reason or another, and now it's completely re-inhabited by somebody else who has a shop that's selling things, and then they go somewhere else on the continent and do a similar thing, and now there's a different version of said shop, or they left it and they come back and now it's an entirely new thing. And that's this whole, the Reclaimed entity does this. They bring people in, and then you can really have as much fun with this as you want. Is this truly like a Spirit Halloween where it's like subpar items, like basically a Wish version of magic items that they sell, or something a little more sinister? So I took this concept of the Reclaimed, someone that takes something that failed. I guess you could also look at this kind of like the concept of like a hermit crab, right? Where somebody else vacates something and then they come in and take it over and use it as their home. So a scavenger, a salvager, a reclaimer, something along those lines. That's what the concept is here. And again, stat block to come with this, and then a whole bunch of minions and lore behind this entity and where it came from and how it operates. But I said, that's a really interesting concept for a warlock, is this concept of reclaiming, right? Taking something that was initially bad, or a concept of a failure or something of that nature, and then being able to essentially tap into that and then turn it to your benefit. So that's kind of the concept of the Reclaimed warlock that I've put together, and I wanted to walk you through what I've come up with. It's not 100% done, but I'm looking for insight from all of you, so let's take a look. So you can see it right here. I'll zoom in. I came up with a spell list. Again, for those of you who are familiar with this kind of stuff, we can only live in open game license SRD territory. So if you're looking for a specific spell and you don't see it here, that's the reason why, because I have to live within this. So I chose for the expanded spells for it: Hideous Laughter, Silent Image, Knock, Web, Phantom Steed, Tiny Hut, Fabricate, Polymorph, Animate Objects, and Seeming. I tried to tap into a couple of different concepts here, a little bit of sort of spooky Halloweenish vibes, but more of the concept of getting access to things and then improving them, or taking them over, making them a new space. Things like Knock to let you into a space. It's also some spells I hadn't really seen on warlocks before, right? Fabricate, taking something that you find on the ground and turning it into something else. Same concept of that with Polymorph, Animate Objects, bringing stuff to life. Seeming, changing the way things look, stuff like that. So again, I don't have 100% on all the names on these things, but I was like, what can I do as a warlock and change the way the game is played, and kind of tap into that concept of reclaiming or a failure turned positive. So we have Salvage here, again, name not final, at level 1. When you roll damage for a warlock cantrip you cast, you can re-roll any roll of 1 on the damage die, but you must use the new roll even if it is another 1. And I also added you gain proficiency in history and in artisan tools of your choice, right? You're going to be reclaiming, or your entity is all about taking over old locations. So that may translate into your history and the knowledge of learning of these places and possibly being able to fix them up or do something with them with the artisan tool that you pick. Also, I like the concept of possibly you going out as part of an adventuring party. If you want to have sort of subterfuge and like a secondary motive, you join an adventuring party and you're out here clearing out bad guys, right, as it were, out of taverns, castles, lairs, all the while doing this so that your patron who claims these locations to gain power can just sweep right in after you in the party and then do that. And then you have that cool back and forth of like, it's, well, yeah, we got to clear out these bad guys because everybody said so, but like you can give your patron a heads up, like, hey, listen, we just cleared out this dragon lair. It's all yours, buddy. And then they can go and take it, and then you can be rewarded that way. And I think that could be a really fun back and forth. So then at 6th level, we have you gain the ability to reclaim a previous failure. So when you cast a warlock spell that misses a target with a spell attack roll, or when a target succeeds on a saving throw against one of your warlock spell slots, you can use your reaction to restore one expended spell slot. To be eligible, the spell must target only one creature. And then I added this line, but I think I might pull it where I said any additional spell slots gained in this way are lost when you finish a short or long rest. I think that might be a duplicate language there with the fact that it says expended spell slot. Essentially, I wanted to protect against coffee warlocking my own subclass by allowing you to just expend a spell slot or fail, get a spell slot back, and then short rest to then get your slots back. But I think you get the point. And it says you can use this a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus and regain them all back when you finish a long rest. I've played a warlock in the past. I was a hexblade with the original Unearthed Arcana, and I didn't use my spell slots too much, but I've also played alongside several other warlocks. And nothing is more upsetting than you finally using one of your spell slots, because you're limited in so few that you have, and you finally expend one, and then whatever it is, the creature saves against it, and then you just blew a spell slot, and that's it. You have, for a large portion of your gameplay, a lot of people only have 2 slots, and if you spend it and something saves against it, it just sucks. So in this instance, you can reclaim that expended spell slot to use again later. Now, the one option here at level 10, this is, I feel like there should be more to it, but after expending the last charge of a magic item property that regains charges, roll a d4. This item gains that many charges. You use this ability once per long rest. So this is similar to what we saw in the expert classes UA for the Thief Rogue, and this difference here is this is when you've expended the last charge. So you're taking the risk of expending the last charge and then possibly reclaiming that potential lost magic item. I toyed around a lot about putting this higher up as an earlier level ability that you could get access to because it's useful all the time. But I feel like I need something else. Like, this is a nice little kind of fun thing to have. So when I was talking about what would reclaiming be, I was talking about, okay, being able to turn failures into successes, expended spell slots coming back. I toyed around with the concept of if somebody else expends a spell slot, you can somehow get benefit from that. I'm not 100% lost on that, but I also didn't want to step too much on the toes of the higher level abilities of the Arcane Trickster that allows you to basically steal a spell from somebody else. It's not a bad idea, but I'm looking for a little more here. And then I thought it would be funny if I literally called the level 14 ability Placeholder, because it fits with the whole Spirit Halloween vibe. And this was the concept of reclaiming the use of a body. And I think some of the language needs to hear. But basically, you reclaim the corpse of a creature to do your bidding. As a reaction to being hit with an attack, you can swap positions with the body of a creature. So I want to change this because I realize right now as I'm saying this, this has the potential to allow somebody to sacrifice their own party member when they're making death saving throws. Let's say with a nearby corpse. Again, this is we don't have corpse isn't really a word used as an adjective to describe things in D&D, but swap positions with a nearby corpse, the corpse within 30 feet of you, the corpse takes the damage instead of you, and literally being a placeholder. So you're about to get hit, and you use your reaction to basically swap places with a dead body around, and it takes the damage for you, a placeholder. Right? And then alternatively, you can force the body of a creature. Again, I'm going to make this a nearby corpse. Body of a nearby corpse. Actually, no, I might leave that the way it was. So it says, alternatively, you can force the body of a creature reduced to 0 hit points this turn to move up to 30 feet in any direction and make a melee attack against a creature you can see. The attack uses your spell attack modifier, so allowing you to tap into your charisma modifier, and deals a d8 plus your warlock level necrotic damage. So the concept with that is not only could you use it as a possible way to shift spots with it to have it take damage for you, you could also use this to kind of get a one-off hit as a... and this... Oh, I didn't actually say how you do this. Alternatively, as a bonus action, you can force the body of a creature reduced to 0 hit points this turn to move up to 30 feet and make an attack. It says you can use this feature once per short rest, or can expend 1 5th level spell slot to use it again. The thought process being, and I might even just ditch that last piece and just say you can use this feature once per short rest. Or actually, we should change that and say you regain the use. No, I'll leave it there. You can use this feature once per short rest. So when you get your spell slots back, you can get this ability back. This is a capstone ability for this subclass, but I am curious what your thoughts and opinions are on this. Like I said, I was really trying to tap into that concept of reclaiming things, and I had originally thought about trying to do this with like magic items, like somebody drinks a potion and then you can reuse the potion. But that seemed a little too much because you're relying on somebody or some external force, some external item or something like that for you to have to be able to use it. And nobody wants to have a subclass that isn't something you can use all the time. So I went with kind of this concept of turning failure into success. And I thought it was a really cool concept. And like I said, I liked the idea of buying into this patron, that you doing what adventurers do are actually furthering your patron's agenda. And I don't know, maybe you became a patron of the Reclaimed when you got hired to work in one of their shops. And then all of a sudden you kind of got the peek behind the curtain and then were like, well, hey, give me some more power. And then this whole bond began and you formed your pack with them. So I don't know. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. I think it's a fun subclass. I think that I really like the concept of the entity itself and working to figure out exactly how this fits in, how it makes deals, who it kind of hires on and brings on as generals, as well as things just like general minions that run the facilities or at least keep them clean and allows them to possibly rent them out to other folks. I think it could be a lot of fun. I also was toying around with a couple other subclasses as well that are not as fleshed out. I was toying around, I think I mentioned it in the last video, with the concept of something similar to a Castlevania Devil Forge Master. I was actually looking to do that as a sorcerer subclass, and was going to have it basically be you start off by having a separate stat block, almost kind of like a minion pet class that you create, this night creature that you can then boost and level up as you get higher in the sorcerer subclass. And I was toying around with the concept of like a monster hunter type, but then I realized we do have the monster hunter ranger, which I think kind of really fills that role in and of itself. I did like the original version of the monster hunter fighter, but either way. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. I also want to say a huge shout out to the Nerd Immersion Homebrew Discord channel. So if you join my Discord channel, there is a homebrew section there. And I workshopped a lot of this stuff back and forth with some folks there. They helped give me a bunch of different ideas, as well as a bunch of my other friends that are also in the TTRPG space. We were talking, throwing around ideas, trying to come up with what would be fun, but not too crazily balanced. So I'm really excited to have this be a final product that you'll get to see in this book, which again, could be in your hands as early as January of next year. So a shout out, obviously, to Jetpack 7 for sponsoring this video, I guess, but really, I'm working on the project, so you kind of get what I mean. But either way, there'll be a specific tracking link at the top of the video description, as well as a pinned comment if you'd like to head over and back it, and then also let them know that, hey, Nerd Immersion was the reason that you got to this. So I can actually see, if you guys came from Nerd Immersion, I actually can see it on a dashboard. That's all for me, which is pretty cool to check out. So yeah, we got 28 hours left to go, and let me know your thoughts. And like I said, your thoughts and opinions in the comments, in the Discord, what have you, are helping to shape what I'm putting in this book, so you can get a supplement that's really awesome and at the same time help make what happens happen. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next time.